Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello friend, in the last lecture we had discussed the communication process, effective communication, and also some of the areas where we can improve our communication. Let us discuss some other aspects of communication skills today. So I would like to start with intercultural communication skills. This intercultural communication skills required to communicate or share information with people from other cultures and social groups. And this is very important aspect to make a good communicator. While language skills may be an important part of intercultural communication, they are by no means the only requirement. Intercultural communication also requires an understanding that different cultures have different customs, standards, social mores, and even thought patterns. Finally, good intercultural communication skills requires a willingness to accept differences, these, and adapt to them. Well, a desire for intercultural communication starts from the point of view that communication is better if it is constructive and does not suffer from misunderstandings and breakdowns. Intercultural communication requires both knowledge and skills. It also requires understanding and empathy. Effective intercultural communication is a vital skill for anyone working across countries or continents, including those working for multinational companies either in their home country or abroad, that is, expatriates. It is also crucial for anyone working with people from other cultures to avoid misunderstandings and even offense. Those studying languages often encounter issues of intercultural communication. Well, what are the knowledge required for intercultural communication? Well, the key areas of knowledge for those wanting to improve their intercultural communication are some knowledge of the cultures, organizations, and institution, history, and general way of living of different communities and nations. Recognition that these aspects affect behavioral norms. For example, there is considerable history between the Greeks and the Turks, and therefore it may be considered potentially a problem to serve Turkish food to a Greek person. An understanding of how culture can affect communication and language is very important. For example, people from Nordic countries are often said to speak more directly than native English speakers who tend to use more polite language. Scandinavians in the UK have reported causing offense to English people by failing to say please and thank you enough. Some understanding of the conventions that may govern behavior in certain specific intercultural environments, such as views on the role of women or the license or otherwise permitted to children. Crucially, awareness of your own and other people's belief and values and a willingness to recognize when these may clash. Sensitivity towards cultural stereotypes that may affect and interfere with intercultural communication. Now, apply your knowledge. Once you have developed this knowledge and understanding, you can start to apply it to your communications across cultures and even languages. Well, some useful starting points may be: demonstrate your willingness to meet others, at least halfway, by learning a few phrases in their language. This is easy if you know that you are going on holiday somewhere, but it is also important for expatriate assignments and other business trips. A few phrases, even if it is only good morning, good evening, and thank you, will go a long way. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. Well, said by Nelson Mandela, and I think that this is very appropriate to the situation we are discussing. Talk to people who know the culture about common traps and problems. Before you go, find people who know the region to which you are traveling and ask their advice. Ask your co-workers what people commonly do that is just wrong, or what problems they have encountered, and learn from it. Listen carefully to their answer, including what they don't say, as this can tell you a lot. Adapt your behavior and don't all expect others to adapt to you. This includes not being offended if someone unwittingly does something that you find difficult to accept. You don't have to accept it, but it is best to explain politely why you find it hard, not just go off in a sulk. Check your understanding and that of others. The best way to avoid misunderstandings is to listen carefully and check understanding regularly in the course of conversation. Ask questions to make sure that you have understood, and ask others to recap what you have said to ensure that they have understood you. Don't be afraid to apologize. You can usually see quite quickly if you have caused offense. The fastest way to manage that is to apologize and ask what it was that you did. A confession of total ignorance will often go a long way to mitigate offense. Ignoring it will just offend further. Use local television to learn about behavioral issues and norms. You wouldn't want to rely on television, dramas as your only source of information, but they can provide useful insights. In England, for instance, Coronation Street or East End could give you an idea of what is considered acceptable and unacceptable behavior. Comedies are perhaps less reliable as they often use communication difficulties or ambiguous to generate laugh. Reflect on your experience. As with so many aspects of life, a little reflection about your experience can help you to put it in context, especially if you are able to discuss it with someone else in a similar position. Well, intercultural awareness is quite simply having an understanding of both your own and other cultures, and particularly the similarities and differences between them. These similarities and differences may be in terms of values, beliefs, or behavior. They may be large or small, and they matter very much when you are meeting or interacting with people who are from other cultural background. Understanding that people from different cultures have different values is the foundation to good intercultural relationship. In a multicultural world, most of us need at least some intercultural awareness every day. For those who live or work away from our native countries, or who live or work closely with those from other country, it is absolutely vital. But even just for a 2-week holiday abroad, intercultural awareness is a vital quality that can prevent you from causing offense. There are 4 groups of people who are most likely to need intercultural awareness. The first is expatriates, second, people who work globally, third, people who work in multicultural teams, and the last one is tourists. Expatriates or expats are people who live and work away from their native country, usually employed by multinationals rather than local companies. Expats may be on quite long postings, perhaps 2 or 3 years. They are often quite senior in their organization and are expected to be able to apply skills learned elsewhere to the new location. Lack of intercultural awareness, and in particular of the way things are done round here, can often damage or derail expat assignment. Well, people who work globally, even those based in their native country, may in a global economy need to work with people from other countries and cultures. A little intercultural awareness may prevent them giving or taking offense unnecessarily. Now, people who work in multicultural teams. There are very few of us who do not have at least some contact with colleagues or acquaintances who are non-native. Some industries and organizations have large number of migrant workers, for example, healthcare and social care, where nurses are highly sought after and often recruited from abroad. Intercultural awareness helps to ease colleague and colleague-manager interactions and prevent misunderstanding. Tourist. You may feel that 2 weeks holiday does not justify finding out a bit more about the culture of the place you are visiting. But as a visitor, you are, like it or not, seen as a representative of your country. And it is perfectly possible to give offense inadvertently. Now, how to develop intercultural awareness? What can you do to develop intercultural awareness? First is admit that you don't know. Acknowledging your ignorance is the first step toward learning about other cultures. Develop an awareness of your own views, assumptions and beliefs, and how they are shaped by your culture. Ask yourself questions like, what do I see as national characteristics in this country? Which national characteristic do I like and dislike in myself? Take an interest. Read about other countries and culture and start to consider the differences between your own culture and what you have read. Don't make judgment. Instead, start by collecting information. Ask neutral questions and clarify meaning before assuming that you know what is going on. Once you have collected information, start to check your assumption. Ask colleagues or friends who know more about the culture than you and systematically review your assumptions to make sure that they are correct. Develop empathy. Think about how it feels to be in the other person's position. Look for what you can gain, not what you could lose. If you can take the best from both your own and someone else's views and experiences, you could get a far greater whole that will benefit both of you. But this requires you to take the approach that you don't necessarily know best, and even that you don't necessarily know at all. Speaking effectively is defined as speaking in such a way that your message is clearly heard, if possible, acted upon. I mentioned this topic because everything moves around effective speech. So, knowing speaking effectively is very important. So, there are two main elements to speaking effectively: what you say and how you say it. What you say means your choice of words. The words you might use when chatting to a friend are likely to be quite different from those used in a formal presentation or interview. Similarly, the way that you speak will also vary in different situations. However, there are also likely to be some common factors. For example, whether you naturally talk quietly or loudly, and how you use body language. Well, what are the aspects of effective speaking? Effective speaking means being able to say what you want to say in such a way that it is heard and acted upon. Whether you are talking to a major conference about a new scientific discovery, your children about their behavior, or your boss about a pay rise, you need to be able to speak effectively. This means considering every possible tool and aspect to ensure that nothing distract or detract from your message. Aspects of effective speaking covers that there are three main elements of effective speaking: your voice, the words you use, your other non-verbal communication, particularly body language. Now, choosing your words, what you say, the words you choose matters. If in doubt about your meaning, your audience will come back to the words that you used and double check what you might have meant. It is therefore important to choose carefully, especially when you are saying something important. Well, there are certain things to consider. Your audience. The words you choose will be different if you are talking to 200 people at a conference, a trusted colleague, your boss, or your children. You need to think about your audience's overall level of understanding of the subject and also the type of language that you use. Shorter sentences are easier to process and understand. Using shorter sentences also create urgency. Simpler words are also easier to understand. If you cannot explain something in simple terms, you have probably not understood it yourself. This is particularly important if your audience are not all native speakers of the language. Accent, that is also very important. Regional and ethnic accents are part of individual personality and add a unique element to the way that you speak. They may also, however, in some situations create potential barriers to communication. Like if you have a very strong accent, people from another area or country may find it harder to understand what you are saying. You may therefore need to slow down your speech to ensure that they have time to process what you are saying. It is worth remembering, however, that words are only a part of your overall communication and message. The tone of voice and your body language also send strong messages. Then voice. Your voice can reveal as much about your personal history as your appearance. The sound of a voice and the content of a speech can provide clues to an individual's emotional state. For instance, if self-esteem is low, it may be reflected by hesitancy in the voice. A shy person may speak quietly, but someone who is confident in themselves will be more likely to have command of their voice and clarity of his speech. It is worth taking time to improve your command over your voice, especially if you find it hard to speak in public. It can even help to boost your confidence. It is important to get used to the sound of your own voice. Most people are more relaxed in a private situation, particularly at home, where there are no pressures to conform to any other social rules and expectations. This is not the case in public situations when there are all sorts of influences exerted upon the way people speak. Often people don't like the sound of their own recorded voice. This is also a fact. In the same way that some people don't like photographs of themselves, they can feel embarrassed. Most of us are not used to hearing our own voices, and these feelings are totally normal. Get past the initial, do I really sound like that? Stage and develop a better understanding of your voice and exercise to improve public speaking. Try recording your own voice in an informal setting such as at home. Listen carefully to how you sound. This will help you to become accustomed to your own voice. You might also note any aspects of your speech which reduce the overall effectiveness of your message. This might include a tendency to say that is feeling a lot, to slur one or more letters together, or stammer slightly. An exercise to help develop your effective speaking skills: find a document to read, something about 2 pages in length. The first few pages of a book would work well. Read your document through silently first, then read it aloud in your normal speaking voice. Don't worry if you stumble or falter, just pick up and continue to the end. Now read it a third time, recording your voice if possible, and remember, slow down. It is natural reaction to want to get it over as fast as possible, and this often causes people to stumble over their words. Speeding up also occurs when you are nervous and usually makes you more difficult to understand. Keep your head up. Try not to tuck your chin into the book as your voice is then addressing the floor. Hold your book higher and project your voice. Pause occasionally. Let the end of a sentence or the end of the paragraph give you a chance of a small 2 or 3 second rest. Pauses can be useful for emphasis. Practice this exercise as often as you can. Well, anyone can improve the sound of their voice and the way they speak in a matter of days through a few simple exercises like we have discussed just now. To improve, you will need to maintain a certain commitment and practice regularly for a few minutes. Well, breathing is also very important. The voice is responsive to emotions and sometimes gets blocked, which can prevent or hinder the expression of a range of feeling. So, the effect of breath on voice and speed is too much. When under stress, an individual's breathing pattern will change. When your muscles are tense, you cannot use your lungs to their full capacity. When someone is frightened or nervous, a common symptom is tension in the neck and shoulder. This occurs because when under pressure, we tend to breathe faster. This means we inhale plenty of air, but there is not enough time to exhale fully and relax, so we do not get the full benefit. Good breathing is essential for two reasons. By using full lung capacity, the breath will support the voice and the voice will become richer, fuller and stronger. This will benefit individuals who have a small voice and who worry that they cannot be heard when speaking to a group of people. Volume is controlled in the abdomen, not in the throat. So breathing is full strengthened will allow for greater control of the voice. Breathing deeply and rhythmically has a calming and therapeutic effect as it releases tension and promotes relaxation. People who are relaxed are more balanced, receptive and confident. Well, it is not a coincidence that many religions use rhythmic breathing techniques such as meditation, yoga, and silent contemplation and vocal release in the form of chants, mantras, hymns, singing as aids to their devotions. By easing physical tension, mental stress decreases and the mind is effectively freed to follow creative pursuit. Well, breathing exercise, how to do this? Stand in an easy position with your feet one pace apart, with the knees unlocked and not rigidly pushed back. Keep spine straight, head balanced and face muscle relaxed. Breathe into a slow count of 3, then out to a slow count of 3. Try not to raise your shoulders as you breathe. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Consciously think of your breath filling down to the bottom of your lungs. Put the palm of your hand flat against your abdomen and feel the movement. Push slightly against your hand as you breathe in and out. Repeat this exercise 10 times. Well, the following 3 that I am going to discuss, core elements of vocal production, need to be understood for anyone wishing to become an effective speaker. Volume to be heard, clarity to be understood, variety to add interest. So volume, this is not a question of treating the voice like the volume control on the TV remote. Some people have naturally soft voices and physically cannot bellow. Additionally, if the voice is raised too much, tonal quality is lost. Instead of raising the voice, it should be projected out. Support the voice with lots of breath. The further you want to project the voice out, the more breath you need. It also needs to come from the diaphragm, not the throat. When talking to a group or meeting, it is important not to aim your talk to the front row or just to the people nearest you. Instead, you need to consciously project what you have to say to those furthest away. By developing a strong voice as opposed to a loud voice, you will be seen as someone positive. Some people tend to speak through clenched teeth and while little movement of their lips. It is this inability to open mouths and failure to make speech sounds with precision that is the root cause of inaudibility. The sound is locked into the mouth and not let out. To have good articulation, it is important to unclench the jaw, open the mouth and give full benefit to each sound you make, paying particular attention to the ends of your words. This will also help your audience as a certain amount of lip reading will be possible. Variety. To make a speech effective and interesting, certain techniques can be applied. However, it is important not to sound false or as if you are giving a performance. Words convey meaning, but the way that they are said reflects feelings and emotions. Vocal variety can be achieved by variations in pace. This is the speed at which you talk. If speech is too fast, then listeners will not have time to assimilate what is being said. It is also a good idea to vary the pace, quickening up at times and then slowing down, because this will help to maintain interest. Volume, by raising or lowering volume occasionally, you can create emphasis. If you drop your voice to almost a whisper for a sentence or two, it will make your audience suddenly alert. Be careful not to overuse this technique though, or it will lose its impact. Pitch inflection. When speaking in public, try to convey the information with as much vocal energy and enthusiasm as possible. Pauses are powerful. They can be used for effect, to highlight the preceding statement or to gain attention before an important message. Warm up your voice before any important speaking situation, whether it is appointment, meeting, talk. It is beneficial to have a voice warmer. The voice is an instrument. No musician arrives at a concert hall and launches into Beethoven without first tuning up. So please warm up your voice. Body language, a considerably amount of communication depends on that. Your body language is very important. There is more about how to use body language to communicate effectively. So try to know with your practical experience. The importance of congruence. Perhaps the most important aspect of effective communication is congruence. For communication to be effective, your non-verbal communication needs to reinforce your words. The two must say the same thing. Well, you may therefore need to put some thought into how you want to use body language and other non-verbal clues. This is particularly important if you are trying to get across a difficult or unwelcome message. Conversational skill that also to be developed, and conversations are supposed to be a fun. They involve personal interaction between two or more people about something of interest, but many people worry about having conversation. They are concerned that they won't be able to keep the conversation going or about what they will say. So keeping a conversation going is something of an art, and one which many of us now seem to lack. So this need to develop a monologue that in either direction is not conversation. Try to achieve a balance between talking, listening in any conversation. Be friendly and polite with a smile when you are talking. Try to avoid contentious topics on first acquaintance. Respond to what they are saying. Now, well, friend, these are the good points which you can keep in mind. If you are interested in others and in other world around you, you will be interesting to talk to, and this is how you can improve your communication skills. I am sure that whatever I have shared with you going to help you in a great measure to be a good communicator. Till then, goodbye. Thank you very much.